Hello my friends, John LaRufa here with another Straight Up Solo, and in this episode we're going to take a look at evacuation. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Okay folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And if you have, I really do appreciate that support. Thank you so much. So I'm going to just zoom in on some of the stuff first here, because the way the board is, it's kind of glossy and I was getting a lot of reflections. So I want to just take you through what we got here first. So this is your player board. Your player board shows the resources that are stored on the old world as well as the new world and your production amounts over here. The three resources in the game are food, steel, and energy. It also shows the different actions that you can take. And when you take an action, either this or this, you would count as 4 in the action power, 3, 2, and 1, and that's important when it's time to do your progress, okay? And the actions you could take are various. You can research one of these texts up here, which there are 4 sets of texts in the game, and they will give you specific bonuses and different things as any kind of tech tree would. You can exchange resources one for the other and also gain a specific resource. Although here's the deal with this game. Whatever is on this world has to stay on this world. Whatever's on this world has to stay on this world. You can't go back and forth unless you transport them physically during the transport phase with the ship. Then there's other things. There's ways to build prefabricated factories, clone people, take infrastructure projects and play infrastructure projects, settle in the new world, build ships, build stadiums, and then similar to what we've already talked about, but these actions only give you 1 as far as the progress power. Now, the specific theme of the game is you're trying in 4 turns, or 4 rounds, I should say, to get all of your tokens, or as much as you can, evacuated from here to the new world and settled. And the better you do that, the higher your score will be, and the more competitive it will be. Now, there's 2 ways to play this game, but in solo, you must play the score mode, okay? Or the point mode, pardon me. You can't play the race mode. That's just for the actual, the multiplayer game. So what does the score mode mean? Well, what that means is they've got a bunch of different things over here that help you to understand how to generate points at the end of the game. So you get points for different resource production levels. You get points for, or penalties I should say, for people you've left behind in the old world. And you also get points for having at least 6, well, it depends on how this goes, but you, I think it's 4 in a 2-player game, that if you have at least a couple amount of, or the most happiness, you get 4. And then there's also these goals. These goals get you points for doing different things throughout the game. And that's basically what you're trying to do. You're trying to get up to 60 points to win, and 80 would be a mastery of the game. And there's a couple of other things to score from. Like I said, you've got, score sheet here. All right. Now, what does the AI look like? Well, the AI is controlled through a simple deck of cards here, and it is for the most part a block and denial AI. It is not a take a turn and score. It doesn't score at all. It's going to take cards from these different, the infrastructure, the ships, or the stadium offers, and it's going to settle in spots over here, which will block you, and it's going to move down this progress track also, which will block you. Besides that, it does not interact with you, and so it keeps your focus, it allows you to keep your focus on the meat and potatoes of the game. And since this is such a tight game from a standpoint of resources and turns, I actually prefer that here because there's a lot to consider. All right, so let me go ahead now and place the camera in such a way that we can kind of see most of the action as I go through a couple of turns, or at least a full turn, and you can kind of see how that looks, or a full round, I should say. Now, the other thing is I've played 2 rounds thus far, so we are starting the 3rd out of 4 rounds, or the 3rd out of 4 years. And where are we right now? Well, we've done a few evacuations, as you can see over here, but I still got a lot of things left. And I've only done a little bit of settling here. And I want to be very clear, I am not a master at this game at all. I have a long way to go to be able to master it, but I wanted to make sure that I give you a feel of how it plays regardless. So my strategy and my choices may not be all that fantastic. So anyway, the first thing you do is we look and see production and then upkeep, okay? Now, production on the old world and the new world are separate. The old world is going to produce with whatever has been left behind so far. So in that case, we've got 3 energy over here. These big cubes represent 3s. Oh, and by the way, I put a cube over here to block off this lane, because this lane right here, and then it becomes the center lane, that is not used at all in the 2-player game. And there's also a, it's called the extra civilization, or just kind of like a blocking civilization, which makes the turn order competition a little bit more competitive, as well as blocking some spaces in here, which is important, keeps the game from being too flabby in that regard. All right, so we've got, I said 3 energy over there, then we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 steel. Let's go ahead and get one of these. I don't want to mix the cubes. All right, and 2 of these, that's 5 steel. And then food. I have 3 food over here. 1, 2, 3. Now, on the other production side, on the new world, I have 2 steel, because I have a settlement in the steel area here and in the steel area here, or I guess a person, the population there. And then I have 1 food because I got a food factory. I haven't built any energy yet over there, which is going to be a problem this turn. Except I have a little tech that allows me to return my ships to the old world as soon as they're unloaded. So that is kind of helpful. Although I should make sure that I do or don't have to pay energy. I bet I do have to pay energy. You can pay with energy you just delivered from the new world. Yeah, so you still have to pay for it. Figured as much. Okay. So anyway, we have now paid. Now we have to do upkeep. Well, if you can't do any if you miss any upkeep, you get negative points throughout this game, right? And so that's what these tokens represent. They're negatives. I have to have 2 food in the old world. I have that, so no problem. I spend those. I have to have 2 food in the new world. No problem. I spend those. And I have to have built, I keep putting these in the wrong spot. I have to have built at least 1 stadium thus far. Is that 1 stadium, or is that, yeah, I think that's 1 stadium, because by this 3rd turn you need the stadium here. Yeah, because at the end it's there. Okay, and I have a stadium over there, so we're good. All right, so now I can begin my turns. So you take an action, then the AI takes the action by flipping the card. So, again, I need to get my stuff going here. I've got a lot of things I need to settle. Now, there's another interesting thing. There are these target numbers up here, which is what you're trying to target to hit from a standpoint of progress power on these actions. So here there's a bonus if you hit 7. Here there's a bonus if you hit 10. If I hit 10, I also have a progress card that gives me 3 points for every time I do that. So I'm going to want to try to do 10 if at all possible. The way the actions work is, on the standard game, there's a variant where you can play which has specialized action cards on it that do special things. I'm not playing that right now, I'm just playing the regular one. So depending on how many turns you take, they're either free or they start to cost some energy. And if you take the same action grouping over and over again, after the fourth one and more, it costs an additional energy. So the first thing I would like to do is I would like to go ahead and start to settle in this area. Now, to settle population, I would have to have population over here. I don't have that. But what I do have is I have some factories. And I have, because my first progress marker has crossed this mark, I can settle either in the tundra area or in the desert area. Okay, the other thing with settling is you have to have everything required, including some prerequisite stuff over here, when you go ahead and try to do that settling. I realized this is something I didn't do previously. I should have gotten an extra good when I did that, so I put my energy over there, which would be good and helpful later. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to find where can I build some factories that would help me out. I have a special card here, an infrastructure card, that says as long as you built 1 factory in the tundra and settled once in the area over here, with a person, you can play this card, and when you play it, I have to spend 1 steel. I can do that anytime, I suppose. Well, I do that during a card play action, but then it would start producing energy for me, which is good. So that's also kind of trying to inform me of what I want to do. In the case here I'm just going to start my my production of energy. So I build that factory. I've already built a prefab factory there so I can move my energy up 1. And now the goal here is to get this north of the 8 line, which is pretty tough. Pretty tough indeed. Okay, so I've taken my turn. That was a single action. Now we're going to go ahead and flip his. Now what he does is he flips this over, this card. It tells you what action he's going to take, and then this number and this letter indicate how it's going to go. So he is going to do a settle action, and he is going to move this thing 1 space over there. You couldn't really see the move, but it went from pointing in this direction and this direction to pointing in this direction and this direction. And it says B1, so B1 means right there, and I just block it. It doesn't matter what you put here, it's just blocked. Now, if I was already there, he wouldn't even take an action, it would just be blocked. Because again, he's just blocking me. So now back to me. I think the best thing to do would be to research this technology in order to allow me, I should move that out, to allow my ships to come back as soon as possible. So I'm going to research that, and that says your ships return to the old world as soon as they're unloaded. Now it is ready to go, which I'm happy about. Pretty simple there. Back to him now. He's going to take the 3rd infrastructure card and tuck it under. So he takes this card and we remove it from the offer, and then we refresh. Refreshing it up, as it says. Okay, now back to me. Now it's getting expensive, but I have a technology that says my 3rd action doesn't cost me this energy, so I'm good with that. What would be helpful here would probably be to maybe build a ship, because I've really got to get these out of here. And I have several more population ones, so this one wouldn't be the end of the world. I wish, though, I had something to work with that's better. So one of the things that you can do is you can spend a resource, you can spend any resource you want and refresh this whole offer. So I'm going to spend these. I'm going to discard all 3 of these because I really actually need one of these that is going to allow me to pull a factory out of a spot that is not color-coded. It's a specific rule here, but you just have to trust me on this one. Okay, good. I got some good ones there that'll allow me to do just that. Now, this is pretty attractive given that it is a very nice ship. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spend the 3 steel and the 2 food to build that ship. And it's over here and it'll be available when it's time to do some transporting. Notice I'm a little shy on energy, so I'm going to have to find a way to get some energy if I'm going to put them over here. Okay, so the build ship action was also a 2 strength action. We go ahead and we flip this now again. It says build a stadium. So it wants to build this first stadium. So now it's going to get 3 happy faces worth of turn order influence. I happen to have a total of 5, so that is not going to be a factor for me, but that's in there. Okay, back to me now. The next action would cost me 2 energy. The issue I've got is I could spend the energy from either my home world or from my new world because of where one of my discs are here. And this progress mechanism is pretty interesting. When your progress discs start crossing these spaces, they start changing things on the board and gradually taking away your stuff here and building up or transferring it over here. And if you do that too aggressively, you're going to find yourself really under the gun and really strapped for different resources. At the same time, if you don't get these things going, you're not going to meet the expectations of the gaming system, so to speak, the turns, and you're going to find yourself having a hard time here. So what I was thinking is I wanted to take one more action. However, I'm so short on energy, this might not be a good idea because I need, the only thing I could think of is maybe taking another one of these actions. I'd like to get to 10 if at all possible, so that means this action. That would give me 2 energy. That's a good one. So I can actually do that, but the problem is I would still be 1 energy short. Is there any way I could do this with something I don't think so, because none of that stuff seems to help. So maybe that ship was a little bit too aggressive. Don't know. And thus the angst of this game, right? This is the toughness of trying to figure out how to manage what you're actually trying to do. So I'm tempted to stop what I'm doing, because if I was to, I guess I'll do this. And this might be foolish. So that would give me, ugh. It's a really difficult, this, like I said, there's really tough decisions to make here. I need one more energy for sure, and if I don't find a way to get it, these guys aren't going anywhere. However, if I pay the cost here, then I'm going to be in trouble. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pay the 2, okay? So it leaves me with 1. I can get 1 for there, and then I can exchange these 2 steels for 2 more energy. So it was a net gain, and I go over on my progress a little bit. So I won't get that reward, regrettably, but at least oh, you know what? So that was 2 energy, I had 3. Because I do get a bonus for this. So let's say I do this over here. If I did that over there, I would have 1 energy left, like we just said, and 2 steel. This would actually work. Okay, I am going to do it this way. So I'm going to take another settlement action. I spent the 2 energy I need to pay for the action. It goes here. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I'll have enough to get this. I'll get 2 energy from there, and I also can get a resource of energy here to help me fund. Oh, but that's at the end of year bonus. Dang. Well, I'm not going to back and forth this forever, guys. I'm sorry. I'll just live with my choice. This ship won't go this time. We'll just do 1 ship and 1 ship only. So we'll just stick with what I just did. And, well, actually, apologize. Okay, so we're gonna do what I just did. We're gonna just make it this way, because all those things to get the energy don't take place until after the transport phase. So like I said, I'll be over, but at least I'll have enough energy to move everything. Okay, so he takes his turn. Now he will take turns even after I've passed until he's done with almost all of his cards. That's 1, 2, and he wants to settle on the second space in the B area, so he's going to block this. Okay, now I'm passing because I don't have enough energy to do anything else. Well, I do, but I need to save it. We're just going to let it go. Yeah, we're just going to let it go. Okay, and then we're going to continue with him. So he's going to take this infrastructure card, card number 2. And you notice his turns are pretty easy. They just block. And then finally, he does not take the last one. Or no, he takes this one because it wants him to settle. This X does not mean the X here. Okay, I forgot to move that down. It means I don't take the action AI unless it is the settle one, then you move it 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we put it there, and it is A4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, so he's going to block that spot right there. Okay, so we have finished the action phase. Now we go to the transport phase, and here's where I need that energy so I can load up my stuff. So I'm going to load up both of my stadiums, because the stadiums need to go to the new world, otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. And I can also evacuate some of these spots over here. And like I said, I need people, and I don't need too much food, so I'm going to probably do this. I'm going to evacuate this guy right there, which puts 2. So that would be a gray one. I have a gray, so there we go. And then it would be perfect if I could evacuate the right kind of this, which I can. So I'm going to evacuate this yellow one, and that puts 2 over here. All right, so there's my transport phase is done on that side. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send these guys over here, this one over here, go back, and this one over here. However, I suppose, since I have that technology, it'd be better not to send this one back. No, that's okay, because this one can, for one more round, at least pull some more stuff out. So that'll be... No, it's better for me not to send him back. We get the stadiums, so we unload everything over here. So the stadiums come out. So now I've got my 3 stadiums, so I'm not going to be under the gun there. And I have 4 population that are basically waiting in orbit, waiting for someplace to settle. And then I discard these energies. Now with this last one, I'm going to send this one home. And that will be where you always only have to spend 1 energy to get them home when they're empty. And then that'll be preparing me for the next round. Okay, so we've transported. Now we check turn order. Turn order is determined by the happy symbols that are at the bottom of your stadiums and maybe some place in here. I have 5, so I stay first. He has 3, he goes second, and then the extra guy is 2.5 happy faces below him, so he goes last. So that's the turn order. Now we go to progress. Okay, so I told you I did 4, 8, 10, 12 worth of progress. So I have to split that up between my 2 discs in such a way that one of them does not get 2 of these transition spaces ahead of the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. And what that does is, first of all, that turns on some additional production over here for me. Okay, so that's going to be 1 each, which is good. And then this first one went over here. So now I am sitting, in fact, this is what I'd like to do instead. I'm going to back him up 1. I'm going to move him forward 1. That means both of them have crossed, and that will turn on even more production over here. And that's good. So you can't see it, but these are like 1 of each of the resources. They come back once you've done that. And I've also unlocked the ability to settle in here where we are. Furthermore, I can settle in spaces that require 2 of these light yellow rings and 1 of these what looks like a typhoon ring if I wanted to. Okay, so that part is done for me. Now let's see what he does. This is an odd number round, so the AI opponent is going to travel 10 spaces, and it's going to travel 4 with its bottom one, with its one, pardon me, that's furthest back. And so, at least that's how I interpret the X. I don't think it doesn't really even say, let's see, progress. Yeah, tree X is 4, yep, okay, so we're going to go with the one that's in the front first, goes 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It can't go in that middle space like I told you because it's off limits, so it just goes out there. And then for the other guy, he's going to do 7, so he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. We've done our progress. Now we go to bonuses. Well, unfortunately, I didn't qualify for that bonus, so I get nothing over here and nothing from there. So that's at the bonus phase. The AI does not take the bonus. And then we go to cleanup. And in cleanup, we reveal the final one of these because we're now on turn 4. I move this down. I reset my action counters. And I then take these cards, put them back. And there's some different rules with different variants if you're playing with those cards like I told you before. So we've reset everything, and we then reset his deck, and then we refresh all of the offers. Okay, so you're going to do that 4 times, and then you're going to see how you did with regards to scoring. Now, like I told you, the scoring situation is determined by a variety of different factors. And I think you really kind of have to play the game to feel out that, how does that all work? But just trust me for that, the whole game, the goal of this game is to get things out of the old world. And if you don't, you get penalized for it. And then there's goals and there's other conditions to get, to basically, as you build up the new world, you start scoring points. So that's kind of how that works. All right, let me go ahead and tell you what I think about it. So Evacuation Solo is an interesting and intriguing game. Interesting in the fact that you are under a lot of pressure and there's a lot to consider. And if you don't kind of consider things, they have ramifications, right? Like I said before, if you leave too much behind or get it out too fast, then you don't have what you need to move things to the new world. And in the new world, if you don't have enough infrastructure there, well, then you start to get penalty points. I would say that the score of 60, like they said, is definitely close or doable for the beginning. I think they laid it out well. They said 60 is a good score for a start, but we could probably get closer to 80 once you've done better in the game, mastered the game, and I would agree with that. That's pretty fair. In my games, I've gotten close to that, for the first starter ones, close to that 60 mark, and that seems about right. And like I said before, I have a lot more to learn and explore with this game through many more plays to get closer to the 80. And I think I will definitely do that because there is a lot to enjoy here from a Euro standpoint. This is definitely a unique design in the fact that you've got two different halves of resources, two different halves of places to do actions, and that is kind of cool. The actions themselves, it feels just a little inspired, I suppose, by an earlier design of underwater cities. Yet, I would say maybe I'm just falling into that trap based on playing a card into one of those action sections, right? That's what you did there. You kind of do that here. But the interesting thing too about it is you can play kind of as just getting your mind around it. You can play without those advanced cards or with the cards that give you actions, or you can play with the cards and decide, do I want to take one of these base actions or do I like one of these advanced actions, if you will, more? And that puts a whole nother level and dimension into the decision space, which I think is cool. So I think there's a lot to like here. I really do from a Euro standpoint. I think the technologies are interesting. The way they come out and the sets, different orders are interesting. The theme of the stadiums is kind of, I guess it just represents entertainment. It's, I don't know, it's not off-putting by any means. It was just like, stadiums, like a stadium that has the collection of my board game collection in there, so to speak. It was just kind of funny. I couldn't quite understand what they were going for thematically there, but I do understand that it was representing entertainment. Besides that, the rest of the theme kind of makes sense. You get up and you go and you establish, and as you do that, you're going to have less to produce in one spot and more to produce in another. So I think it's very fun and enjoyable there. I think the infrastructure projects where you invest a little bit of resources, but then you get some real big bonuses in production, which helps you score those points that you desperately need to do well in the game, is also a very cool thing. And you have to, it lends you to trying to do different placements of different settlements versus just kind of plopping them all over the place, which I think drives you to be more diverse and reach further in that progress track. And I think that progress track is a really cool idea and mechanism, and one that I haven't really seen, or if I have, I can't remember it, or not executed that way. So lots of cool things in this one. I'm enjoying it a lot. I think it's a very, very good Euro game, and certainly one that fits in that Vladimir Suchy unique kind of design that's his and all his, so to speak. You kind of feel like these types of games really are one of a kind, I would say. And I feel that here. So I definitely recommend checking out if you like Euro games and if you like things where there's a little bit of abstraction, but the theme seems to make sense. The points and such, the point mode versus race mode, again, you can't do the race mode in the solo player. I actually am glad that they went where, you have to get a points mode with a target versus like if you don't, finish, then you just completely lose, right? If you don't finish before the third turn, you completely lose. I appreciate that only because there's other games by other designers where it feels like I can't overcome this barrier to even score. And this, I'd rather play to get a maximum score here than just accomplish something and then score it. Because then that would be really weird the way it works in this game. It would be like, I want to try to accomplish it at the very last action I take so I get the most out of it. It just wouldn't work, I don't think. So I have no problems with using point mode and point mode alone for the solo. So there you go. I'm very, I really enjoyed this. I'm very excited to continue to play it, to get deeper into it and get better at it. And regardless of what I did here, though, from my perspective, I hope that what you saw helps you to make the best decision you can if this is a game for you or if it's not. So thanks so much again for watching, everybody. I really do appreciate it. And whatever you decide to do in the future, I hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.